Hey, real quick, before the show starts, if you could hit that subscribe button down below, it will go a long way to helping out the show so we can keep making college football shows every week, all year round.
Welcome to the Solid Verbal. And now, Dan and Ty.
Dan Rubenstein, welcome back to the show, my great and good friend. You know, the idea for today's concept originally came about in the year of our Lord 2022 when we were doing a Big Ten preview, and you did a Paul Chryst impression. Do you remember this in sort of like an Eeyore voice?
Right, because like what is Paul Chryst pitch for like a different version of Wisconsin this year, like a more explosive offense? And it was, I could not be like any more in the dark about what Paul Chryst sounds like for an impression, but it was something like, "Hey Sarks, it's me, Paul. I know our offense hasn't been super exciting, but I want to pitch you." And I don't remember who I was pitching. That was going to be a difference maker for Wisconsin, but I do remember saying, "Hey Sharks."
Yeah, at the time it was Sharks, and then we had some time to marinate over it.
Yeah,
and it became Sarks. I wrote it down. We took it from there. We did this episode for the first time 3 or 4 years ago. I want to say we brought it back last year. This is the third time now over our run of as a show that we are doing this. And we're bringing in a guest Sark, I guess, in this case, as we did last year, as we did the year prior. Andy Staples from On3, from Andy and Ari from the College Football Inquirer. Dude's all over the place. I see he's dressed up for the occasion, as Dan and I have as well. Andy, it is a pleasure to have someone of your caliber here in the conference room with us today.
Well, thank you. I went back and watched from 2 years ago. I actually wore a tie, which proved I had not been watching a lot of actual Shark Tank. My kids got into it later, and we probably burned through every episode. So I know now it's got to be blazer, no tie.
Exactly right.
That's the dress code.
I'm taking on the role of...
I would not appreciate the tie.
One of the cool Sarks in this case, always has the like, I'm not a regular shark, I'm a cool shark, right? I wear interesting boots. And I'm wearing my Buc-ee's shirt underneath a blazer because that
honor of German Freddie?
Yes, in honor of German Freddie and all of the World Cup tourists discovering all that this great land has to offer as they travel and get ready to watch their version of football.
There it is. Well, the episode title, if you have downloaded, if you are listening now, is Sark Tank. What is Sark Tank? Well, the premise here is very simple. I am going to be your designated pitchman throughout the course of this episode. I am bringing ideas to both of our illustrious Sarks here in hopes of securing their emotional investment for the coming season. Andy, Dan, they are the precious Sarks in this episode. However, this is a college football show instead of the actual Shark Tank, which is why, if anyone's wondering, we're calling you Sarks instead. Yeah. So you are free to invest as much or as little as you see fit. You can obviously say you're out. You've seen the show.
Are you going to be disturbingly chipper as you give your pitch? Because I feel like that is a requirement.
We'll see what we can muster up, okay?
You got to sell it, Ty, because
I'm going to try.
Yeah.
So the idea here...
What they're going for is Wheel of Fortune contestant on speed.
Yes.
Basically.
That's right.
Ty, you're not just presenting. You're not just hosting and presenting, Ty. You are selling to us. So, for example, if you are selling to us that Arch Manning were to win the Heisman, you have to say like, the deal I have for you, I'm talking about a Manning. I'm talking about a high-flying offense. I'm talking about a high, intensity conference where he's going to get a ton of exposure, right? You have to be able to like convince Sarks of my and Andy's esteem that we should be emotionally investing.
Well, you can grade me afterwards and let me know how I do, but I feel fairly confident.
Yeah, Andy's right.
The only other thing that I'll offer as a means of a disclaimer, this is obviously intended as parody. I don't know if you guys have seen the jackets that Kevin O'Leary's wearing around or the $30 million necklace he wore to one of the award shows. We don't want to deal with that legal team, so this is parody, guys. All right, nobody take this seriously.
Campbell versus Acuff. Read the case.
If you made
Uncle
it
Luke
this
is
far,
protecting us here.
follow or subscribe. We'd love to have you the rest of the way, starting up our previews next month. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
All right, let's do it.
Next up, an entrepreneur betting big on a magical season.
Hey, Sarks. I'm here today seeking your emotional investment in one Brendan Sorsby.
It's a good place to start.
Wait,
Brendan Sorsby. I didn't even make it through the first sentence.
are you insinuating that we should bet on Brendan Sorsby?
Yes,
I'm
he
here
is.
seeking your emotional investment in Brendan Sorsby, leading Texas Tech to a Big 12 title and at least one win in the college football playoff. Now, I know what you're both thinking. Why invest in a controversy? Why would I want to do that? My answer, guys, this is college football. Why stop now? As you both know, Sorsby won his injunction earlier this week. As of now, sounds like he's going to play after a brief suspension. Yes, there is an appeal in the works by the NCAA, but they don't win in court. This is your chance to get in early and get on board with Brendan Sorsby, who gives Tech the exact thing it needs to make a run, which is an upgrade at quarterback. Sarks, now is not the time for pearl clutching. Now is the time to throw those emotional tortillas behind the next great Red Raider and a season that makes history. Thank you so much for your time.
So this is emotional capital, just to be clear, in this situation that we're investing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Another disclaimer.
I don't need an app to
No.
wager some of this capital. I just tell you.
Doesn't matter the state you're in. It's all legal to invest emotionally in Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby. Okay, I'll start. I'm going to invest lightly. I'm going to invest lightly here. One, because we're not positive what the outcome is going to be. Two, we're pretty sure that there's going to be kind of a double middle finger attitude from Texas Tech with regard to all of this. That's what we've seen so far. They've been pretty staunch in their advocacy behind him and his ability to play this season. The reason I'm not full, like, guns blazing masked rider with this whole thing is I merely think he's decent, and they had a decent quarterback last year who was merely decent, and I think they had a better defensive line last season. And so I think their path to the playoff is pretty obvious, that they still have the talent to do so. But to win a game within the playoff when we don't even know, A, if they'll be there, and B, to what extent Sorsby will be a part of this whole thing, I'm going to say I'm investing like 27% of my available emotional capital in this investment here.
I do have the offer sound, by the way, that they play.
Oh,
I found that one on one of these
pretty
like
good.
fan sites or something. Yeah, it's not bad.
is Andy looking down because he's writing on his legal pad to figure out?
I'm doing the math because
Yeah.
I want equity here.
Yeah.
I want serious equity here because I'm gonna invest a lot of emotional capital in this.
Wow.
Really?
Because you said make the playoff and win one playoff game.
Right.
There are very few sure bets in this world, and this is not a sure bet. And I keep using the word bet.
Yeah.
I refer to Brendan Sorsby, and I am sorry about that. I don't mean to.
The whole thing is a thematic exercise here, Andy. It's okay.
It is. So I hear you, Dan.
Yeah.
And I understand that the man is 1-11 as a starter in November, but he's not been on teams that are going to be as talented as this.
True.
And he's played tougher schedules in November, if we're being real, than what they're going to see. Although I do think Oklahoma State's going to be pretty good. That's one of the teams they play in November. That would be West Virginia, at Oklahoma State, at Baylor, and TCU, where is the November schedule for the Red Raiders. Now, given what we learned, and this is, again, I'm not speaking out of school. This was all stipulated in documents that were filed in court by Brendan Sorsby's legal team. But given what we learned, he was kind of distracted while he was Cincinnati's quarterback. I suspect those distractions will be removed because people will be watching him like a hawk this year. So I do think perhaps he's due for some improvement. He certainly has better talent around him.
Yep.
They certainly don't play a difficult schedule. So all you're asking me, guys, is will Texas Tech get to the Big 12 championship game, win the Big 12, and then potentially win a playoff game? I feel pretty good about that.
What I am asking specifically, though, is if Brendan Sorsby will lead Texas Tech with the.
They're not going to bench him, so unless he gets hurt, he will.
The underlying question is, and I agree, is he going to be able to play? Given that there's an appeals process underway, do we think?
Yeah, and they'll hear that appeal sometime in February 2027. Right. So
here's the other thing that I think Andy is right on, that he won't have the wagering distraction, but nobody's too strong a word. His name was not a household one ever.
He's better than Baron Morton.
He is better than Baron Morton.
Can we stipulate that?
He is likely better than Baron Morton.
Definitely.
Okay.
He has to be, because Baron Morton led 0 scoring drives in their playoff game. So if he is better and they do win a game, obviously, that will all be self-evident. I think the distraction, though, will be replaced by pressure, right? That he now is looked at, not personally, but in a sort of villainous way, what he represents, right? The toothless nature of the NCAA, and going into road environments, everybody in that stadium is now going to know and dislike strongly what Brendan Sorsby represents. And so he will have pressure that he's never had, and that likely no quarterback in the country in this specific way will have this year.
I just don't know that that's going to bother him that much.
Okay.
We'll see. I mean, but at Cincinnati is obviously where that's going to be the most pressurized, because he's going back to the place he played for the last 2 years. This is the place where a lot of the bets were placed.
Yeah.
Not the ones that we were really talking about, which was the ones at Indiana. But
he wasn't expected at Cincinnati ever to be like the missing playoff piece, which he is now, independent of all the off-field stuff.
No, but he did develop into a very good quarterback that probably raised their level of play.
Sure.
Which is probably why they're mad he left.
Agree.
So I just, you got no Utah, no BYU on this regular season schedule.
Right.
Presumably you're going to see one of those two at the end of the rainbow. But if you're asking me, can Brendan Sorsby take them to a Big 12 title and maybe win a playoff game? I think ideally, if you're Texas Tech, you don't blow through undefeated and wind up with a bye. I need them probably to lose a game in the regular season, maybe even 2, and then win the Big 12, so that they are a lower seed.
Yeah, true.
And play in the first round, because I think that gives me a better chance of winning the playoff game. I'm not sure their roster is to a point where they can win against a team that makes the quarterfinals.
By the way, Texas Tech,
they can win a first round game.
They almost assuredly, if not very likely, don't have a single good defense on the road on this schedule. Right? So if you're talking about whatever pressure from a road environment, it'll be Oregon. Right. Well, it won't be Oregon State because he'll be suspended that game as of now. It'll be at Colorado, at Cincinnati, at Oklahoma State, at Baylor. It's tough to see any of those teams, as it stands in June, mounting a vicious defense.
And again, you can probably lose one of those.
And you can probably lose.
They lost to Arizona State last year and still ended up with a bye in the playoff.
A first round bye.
Yeah.
And again, for my purposes, I don't want them to get a bye.
Yeah.
I want them playing in the first round. I feel like that gives me a much better chance of my investment paying off.
Well, that's just being a shrewd Sark. That's why we bring you on this show, Andy.
Exactly.
Right.
This is interesting to me. Okay, I didn't expect to get this level of investment, but I'm very excited.
Okay, you sold it, Ty.
I am all in on that. And it's funny because all the Texas Tech fans are mad at me because we keep talking on the show about what this ruling means and how it means the NCAA can't enforce a rule against gambling on your own team and how that's probably a bad thing. But have a problem personally with Brendan Sorsby. And
Right.
I understand why they're going to play him because it gives them the best. That's why they spent all that money on him. So yeah, I think they're still going to be really good.
You guys want to move on?
Let's.
Next up, a restoration project for a proud regional brand.
Hey, Sarks. You know, a lot's changed in college football over the years. The playoff field has expanded. There are more teams in it now than ever before. But as I travel this great land, one theme comes up time and again. Fans feel left out. How is it that the field, that the sport, is supposedly more inclusive, but so many fans still feel forgotten? Sarks, I believe we can change that. Today, I'm seeking your emotional investment in the SEC winning this year's national championship. It's been too long,
brand. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
It's been too long since the SEC had a bite at the apple. Folks out there in the good old US of A are fed up with the Big Ten. It's being run by Tony Petitti. Looks more like a petite conference to me with only a few good teams at the top. Sarks, with your commitment, we can begin the hard work of restoring the image of a proud conference that's been cast aside and left for dead by the cruel machinery of the national media and college football as a whole. Thank you for your time.
I'll let my fellow Sark take it this time first. So investing in SEC's return to a national championship place.
Well, I mean, listen, I think people have been very unfair to the SEC and downright mean, actually.
Agreed.
Just because the Big Ten has won the last 3 national titles and an SEC team hasn't even made the national title game. I mean, it's not like the SEC was ever arrogant about winning national titles when it was winning every national title. It's not like they rubbed it in.
Very humble. Very humble.
Exactly.
The most humble.
I don't understand the meanness of it all. Now, would I invest in the SEC winning the national title this year? I'm happy with a medium investment because I really do think this is a 50-50 proposition.
I love that sound.
Yeah.
The top of the SEC and the top of the Big Ten are both pretty loaded. Then you've got Miami, which is also we can lump them in with those teams, and I think they'll have a chance to be back in that mix. Notre Dame also has a chance to be back in the mix, and that's why I'm just medium on this thing, because it's not just SEC Big Ten. Maybe it's not even 50-50. Maybe the SEC has about a 40% chance of winning the national title, which is still good.
Very.
And if you keep playing it out, that means they're going to win one pretty soon. So, but it's not what it used to be. It's not where you just assumed there's going to be 1 or 2 teams from the SEC playing for the national title every single year. And so the namesake of this program, Sark, he's got one of the best rosters in college football. But so does Dan Lanning, and so does Marcus Freeman, and so does Mario Cristobal.
Yep.
And none of those guys are in the SEC. So, yeah, I mean, if we're talking about who are the teams that can win, that we believe have the rosters to win the national title, and I realize we just watched Indiana win a national title, so we're probably should be casting a wider net. But in the Big Ten, Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana again. How do we feel about Michigan, Penn State? Do we feel like
I don't.
USC maybe, but probably not. But those 3, the first 3 I mentioned, Notre Dame, absolutely. Miami, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so let's go to the SEC. Texas, Georgia. Who else climbs above that threshold is the question. Does Ole Miss, does Oklahoma, does LSU?
Bama, if
Alabama.
Jalen
Pops,
Russell's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, we don't really feel that confident other than Texas and Georgia.
Right.
I do think there will be 1 or 2 more.
The idea of an SEC national champion is pretty easy to either squint or with wide open eyes see, because, you know, the best of Sam Leavitt, if he's healthy, combined with an LSU offense that looks like it has enough players to make noise and score points under Lane and enough playmakers on defense. Sure. But it's a lot of ifs. It's a lot of new. You're banking on like a lot of years. You're like, well, the best of Alabama under Nick Saban should be that. You can't say that right now, especially with a new unknown at quarterback. We think Keelan Russell's going to be really good, but you got to see it in June before you have to have had seen it if you're having that conversation about Bama under Kalen DeBoer right now. Oklahoma has the defense, but not the quarterback. Like I only see kind of like in the moment.
I think John Mateer could be the quarterback. I don't know if they put enough around him offensively.
That too.
I think Oklahoma's going to be better this year because I think they're probably going to be able to run the ball better than they did last year, which would make them a lot more effective offensively. And their defense is going to continue to be good. But Alabama, I don't know about. I don't know if they're going to be able to run the ball.
When I think about the quarterbacks in this conference, if you're saying to me John Mateer could be that, and then you think about having to have him throw into the Miami secondary, let alone the SEC secondaries, the Oregon secondary, the Ohio State second, like that's where I'm like, okay, I think I see 2.5 quarterbacks I feel decently good about. I don't know Sam Levitt's health, so I'm not considering him at this moment, but like it's Trinidad Chambliss, it's Arch Manning, and it's maybe Gunnar Stockton. Mm-hmm. And I think the individual talent of like Lenora Sellers is intriguing, but like that offense and the receivers and the offensive line in front of them, I just don't see it having a huge ceiling. There are individual talents. I think it's 2.5 quarterbacks. I don't know about the Ole Miss defense. Basically, I think we're realistically talking about Texas in this moment being the answer to this question.
Right. And they might be the answer. Yeah. They might simply be the best team in the country because you saw them get better as last season went on. Then they add some incredible pieces like Cam Coleman and Rasheem Biles. Like they revamped the running back room with Hollywood Smothers and Raleek Brown. So it does feel a little bit like how confident are you in Texas to do it? Right.
And we're looking at a Texas team that may have the most difficult non-conference game in America, or Ohio State has the most difficult non-conference game in America. And so the odds of them tacking on a non-conference loss those odds are higher than most. And so that's what kept them out last year, in addition to the way they played against Florida. So I'm going to say I'm going to invest to like a 35-40% level of my emotions in an SEC national champion this year, just because there are at least a handful of quarterbacks who have that ability. There are the defenses with that ability. And like, weird as it is to say, like, Pete Golding is a playoff tested head coach, right? They have that
2-1 playoff record for Pete Golding.
Exactly right. Yep. Lane Kiffin is almost a playoff tested head coach.
0-0.
0-0. So there's enough bites at the apple for me to say, 35 to 40%.
I would say 40%. That was what I landed on a little bit earlier. And it's by no means a sure thing, but yeah, it's going to happen at some point in the next couple of years.
Let's move on, guys.
Let's.
Next up, a vintage solution for a Hollywood-sized problem.
Hey, Sarks, I'm here seeking your emotional investment in Gary Patterson as the answer for Lincoln Riley's defensive identity crisis at USC. I get it. Gary is 66. He's been mostly out of the game for the last couple years, but this is not just an advisor with a visor.
Ooh.
This is a Hall of Fame coach, and if you've ever watched one of those coaches' film room broadcasts on ESPN, you guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. The man still sees everything on the field. Patterson gives USC exactly what it desperately needs. A trusted hand who can finally turn Lincoln Riley from the Bee out west into the Beast out west. So, Sarks, who is with me on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to invest in an elite defensive mind?
So what the investment is in USC turning a corner, or just like we are going to look at USC as having solved its defensive problems, even if they don't make the playoffs, that it's clear that Gary Patterson is the clear answer?
I think we need to see real progress because, as you know,
it should be the playoff.
which would be a playoff,
Yes.
perhaps, but I would say at a minimum, real progress against a very, very difficult schedule. And it can't be one of those things where November rolls around and we're talking on our respective shows about how Jada Mayava is throwing the crap out of the ball and the offense is scoring a ton of points and how much talent they have on that side of the football, but the defense remains a liability, as it has been, I would say, for the majority of Lincoln Riley's career. Right. So I am just thinking more generally in terms of, it feeling like there are good vibes around the defense and where it is headed, that there is a vision to rebuild it to the point where I think it probably should be for a team out in Southern California, as opposed to where it has been for the most part over the last couple of years, which is, hey, how many points are they going to give up on Saturday?
Right.
See, I feel like Dan Lynn had already done that.
It seemed like he was heading in that direction. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I love the Gary Patterson hire. It's a tough situation that they wound up finding themselves in, because I don't think they expected Dan Lynn to leave for essentially a parallel move, but it is him going back to his alma mater, so it makes sense. I don't think they saw that coming, because obviously they didn't see James Franklin getting fired coming. But I don't know that adding Gary Patterson, as great as I think that hire is, necessarily puts them over the top to make a playoff against this schedule. And this Big Ten schedule is so hard that they ducked out of the Notre Dame game for it.
Right.
So, like, Ty, you're talking about coming into November and feeling like they're not really in the mix for the playoff anymore. Well, guys, they play Oregon, Washington, Penn State, and Ohio State before November. They play Ohio State on Halloween. That may be the case. By the way, they play at Indiana on November 14th. So it may be that 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, we already know, and could be even earlier than that. They are going to have to be significantly better, not just on defense, but on offense, to go 10-2 against this schedule.
Agree. When I look at what this schedule is, to me, it's almost not even a Gary Patterson thing. It's, okay, an excellent defense with depth can kind of weather this schedule with some breaks. The question is now is like, okay, there's talent on the defensive line. There's some new linebackers. I think their shutdown corner hasn't even suited up yet, the Iowa State transfer. Is it Jontez Williams? He's coming off of an ACL tear. When you look at the variety of offenses that they'll be playing, so Oregon's pretty balanced. Washington will rely on a mobile quarterback who can improvise, and Jed Fish is a pretty savvy play caller. It seems like they're going to do a lot of their damage through the air, if at all. And both those games are at home.
Penn State's going to play 9 tight ends.
Right. Exactly. Wisconsin's going to be a bucket of wrenches on the road in October. Penn State is across the country, and that's a mystery right now. Ohio State, we don't fully know what that offense is going to look like, but given Arthur Smith's past, we know that he is going to try to play angry on the ground, at least for a chunk of that game. So does USC have, they have freshmen coming in, but do they have depth of bodies and like large S on that defense to handle that deeper into the season? Indiana on the road is going to be difficult and is going to be exploiting whatever the holes are in that defense. So to me, it's a combination of what does the offense look like? We know the quarterback's going to be good, but the receiving playmakers are just they're different. I just don't think Gary Patterson has the necessary depth and experience to be that difference maker against this schedule. I'll put it about 15%.
Yeah, I don't think this is a Gary Patterson problem. I think this is you guys started recruiting in the way you should be recruiting just recently.
Right.
And you should have been doing this since Lincoln Riley got the job. I think that's the problem. And so, again, if they've been doing this for 2 or 3 years, it was this recruiting class that really was the beginning of it.
Right.
They've been doing this for 2 or 3 years. I'm not that worried about it. But given what they face and the way those opponents stack in that schedule, it's going to be very difficult for them to go 10-2 against the schedule.
We saw last year. And look, last year, different coordinator, different schedule, right? That was it Kamari Ramsey who was out for the Illinois game? They lost a safety and made Luke Altmaier look like a Heisman winner, right? He was just bombing it down the field, right? They did not have the depth. They did not have the ability to adjust. And that's the problem. When you don't have that depth, when you don't have, when you're not stacking recruiting classes and portal classes like they should have been doing, to Sark Andy's point.
Sark Andy.
Sark Andy. Yeah. What do you want me to call him?
No, that's good. That's good. All right.
So, yeah, I think Gary Patterson will have a limited ceiling given this schedule. So, yeah, 15%.
Let's move on.
Next up, a startup looking for more startups.
Hey, Sarks, I'm here seeking your emotional investment in a new group of 6 team crashing the college football playoff party. Not Boise State, not Tulane, not JMU. We're talking new blood. As you guys know, these are exciting times for the G6. Not only is it developing talent for bigger schools, it's also coming off a season that placed 2 teams in the field of 12. The good news in 2026 is that you've got plenty of options for newcomers. Maybe it's Dan Mullen and UNLV figuring something out with Jackson Arnold. Maybe it's a Hawaii team that came off a 9-win season. Maybe it'll be North Dakota State if the NCAA grants their waiver. College football, Sarks, is increasingly a battle of haves versus have-nots. And while the online punditry is obsessed with trying to find a fix, I am here to tell you today that the best way to be a fan in 2026 is through the group of 6. Thank you very much. And true to form, I do have samples. If you look at your screen, we do have some samples available for you to try out.
You don't even have the one that's going to make the playoff.
Who's
maybe
that?
not. Maybe not.
Maybe the USF Bulls.
I was just going to ask. Okay.
Under new coach Brian Hardline.
An SEC quarterback, Michael Van Buren. Yes.
Yes. It's multiple SEC teams.
Multiple SEC teams.
He's played for.
He's well versed.
I want to say maybe he was committed to both Oregon and Penn State at a certain point as well. He's been around.
We are Van Buren boys in this show. You know this,
true.
Dan.
So, Hardline walks into a situation where USF has set up their NIL probably better than anybody in that league. So he has a lot more resources to work with. Yes, obviously they were pillaged when Alex Golesh left, and he took a lot of the better players to Auburn with him. But that's to be expected. Hartline is an ace recruiter, maybe the best wide receivers coach in the world. Mm-hmm. And I'm not being hyperbolic there. I think that might be the case. And so I expect him to have a very good year one. Now, look, the American is not going to be easy to win because Navy's going to be good. Army has been good. I think Charles Huff is going to do a good job at Memphis. He's also in the situation where he's got to replace a lot there. But I'm fascinated to see Hardline at USF because I think Golesh had it in a good place, and that administration has it in a very good place right now, where they are probably supported as well as any team in the group of 6.
Fair. I'm looking through this, and if we want to sort of be thorough, Ty, if you want to put the picture on the screen one more time for our audio listeners who you've pitched here. So UNLV with Jackson Arnold, North Dakota State with a lot of new faces for the Bison, Fresno State now in the Pac-12. Yes, San Diego State now in the Pac-12. Hawaii has been doing fun things these past couple seasons. I'm seeing first-year coach Charles Huff in Memphis. Is that the logo I'm seeing?
There's Memphis. I put Delaware in there just because I like the Blue Hen.
You like the Blue Hen?
They should be pretty decent, but no, this is not really intended as a full inventory of your options, but more just an amuse-bouche of sorts of G6 teams that you could pick if you are feeling inspired.
Sure.
We're still waiting on the NCAA with North Dakota State, though, and that's an interesting one for me because theoretically they could come in right away and win the Mountain West because you have the schism where the teams went to the Pac-12. The Mountain West is not nearly as deep as it would have been. So, I mean, could they come in right away?
And the other interesting component to that, obviously the waiver, that whole side of it remains to be seen. But what is the issue for so many G6 teams with regard to gaining national credibility? It took Boise forever. They had to build up that credibility over the course of time. North Dakota State steps into this, much the way James Madison sort of did, but North Dakota State's on a different level, where they've got decades of success behind that program that they can sort of lean on, and that members of the committee can look at when they're ranking those teams and feel decent about where this program's been and their ability to perform in high leverage moments, which I think is not something many of their peers can say, given that they don't have that level of success before getting to FBS.
Okay, I'm investing like 50 to 65% of my emotional capital in a new G6. Thank you. You neglected my pet team here, and that's the New Mexico Lobos.
Jason X Lobos. I was just about to mention them. So
I did that on purpose. I was hoping you would go there.
They have an opportunity, and I'm not going through there too deep. I have not studied what this year's team looks like. Okay, but we know the Mountain West, in my opinion, may not be as robust as it has in previous seasons with the loss of teams like San Diego, Fresno, and Boise, right, to the Pac-12. They have an opportunity to have one of the best letdown wins of the season in getting Oklahoma after Oklahoma plays Michigan on the road, right? New Mexico's obviously on the road in this matchup. But in terms of a letdown, falling into the lap of the Lobos, that is a nice spot for them to get that sort of resume win if they can somehow pull it off in Norman. I'm not feeling great about it. I'm sure they'll be like 27.5-point dogs or something. But they have that opportunity. The schedule, the Mountain West adding, I believe we're talking about Northern Illinois and North Dakota State to its roster of teams. I just think this is our favorite preseason word, navigable for New Mexico.
It is.
A lot of syllables, yeah.
Navigable. I don't hate the USF pick. I just think we're ripe for something new this year. And I don't love any of the stalwarts in the way that I have in previous years. There's no Ashton Ginty sort of leading the way for one of these teams. I don't think the star power is not obviously there right now. So yeah, 50 to 65% of my emotional investment in a new G6 team playing in January against one of the large boys.
The Lobos would be fun. You mentioned them going to Norman. The folks in Norman remember the Belldozer.
Yes.
Blake Bell. Well, the Lobos have their version of the Belldozer in James Lobstein. He's the short yardage quarterback, run game guy, and just comes in and freight trains people.
That's
true. I love Jason Eck. Like this is very fun.
Likely Power 4 head coach next season, Jason Eck. I mean, he's gonna be that guy, right? It seems like he has that command. It seems like he has that ability.
Former Wisconsin offensive lineman, toiled away in the FCS for quite some time, and then got to New Mexico. And really, I mean, they were left barren as well because that's how things work in the group of 5 / group of 6 these days. And he very quickly made them competitive again. So yeah, I think he will be a pretty popular candidate if he keeps them winning.
In
so
year
now
one,
this may be the chance.
In year one, he was the weird tie-break dice roll coin flip away from going to the Mountain West Championship game. Did it with an Iowa transfer receiver. Do we see a lot of teams using Iowa receivers successfully? Not a ton in this sport.
Not Iowa.
Certainly not Iowa.
The schedule's not horrible. They're at Hawaii. But yeah, I mean, there's also connective tissue. I thought when you were talking about the Belldozer, I believe New Mexico, was it the land of enchantment? Is that what the state's nickname is? The home of legendary Oklahoma quarterback Landry Jones?
It is. You're right.
Connective tissue with this matchup. It's June 10th. I'm calling it now. New Mexico pulling the upset.
Boom.
So, yeah, I'm saying 50 to 65%. How about that?
All right, let's see if we can squeeze 2 more in real quick before we got to go. All right?
Okay.
Here comes the next one.
Next up, a visionary who wants to diversify your portfolio.
Sarks, I'll cut to the chase. I'm here seeking your emotional investment in literally anyone other than Miami winning the ACC. Sure, the Canes have the roster, the momentum, the historic brand, but the ACC is not a conference that follows a clean script, ever. It is a conference.
The ACC. Yeah.
This is also true. I left that out of the pitch.
Okay, continue.
This is a conference built for a team like a Clemson, a Louisville, a Georgia Tech, an SMU, or some other moderately flawed team to show up in November and tear up everything we thought we knew. Miami might be the obvious play, but obvious plays, Sark and Sarks, is how you end up emotionally bankrupt by November. Now is the time to buy anyone other than the loudest stock on the board. Now is the time to invest in the ACC, doing what it does best and making it all up as it goes along. Thank you for your time.
They still have to make up a tiebreaker, right? They said they're going to try to make a new tiebreaker and then pitch it to everybody else to see if they would join in. And everybody else is like, no, we're not joining you.
We love how it works now. Yeah.
Right. Miami, you get to write how the tiebreaker works.
7-5 champ.
Yeah.
I am 100% in on Miami. I am 0% investing in somebody else. I know it's smart betting to look at the field strongly. I know that weird things can happen with injuries. I know that there are all sorts of variables. We have seen Miami lose games they should win with decisions or mistakes at the end that have kept them out of these situations. I think there are reasons why we have streaks like this, but at the same time, streaks end. Miami wins its first ACC crown this year. No tiebreaker, no adversity, no endgame scenarios will prevent it. So you can keep your investment pitch. You get 0 of my emotional dollars.
See, listen, this is how I know that there is room for you to improve as a Sark, Dan.
Is
I'm
that
just
true?
gonna say it. We're friends here. Yeah,
I know.
If you wanted to really play the part, you got to step into this conversation and say, look, I appreciate what you're doing.
Yep.
I'm already a Miami investor. I know what kind of work goes into building this into an ACC champion. And so for those reasons, I am out.
For those reasons, and look, they have an ACC championship quarterback. Oh,
you got to give me a chance to Sark here.
Please, yeah. Sark. I eagerly await where's my thing? If there are any offers on the board here, thank you for your time.
There we go. All right. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to Michael Corleone you. My offer is nothing. So here's the problem. You've based your pitch around an ACC championship, which I agree. Miami's never won. So history is not on our side here.
No.
But what is Miami's toughest game this season?
A non-ACC game.
Yeah, it doesn't count for this. And Miami, historically, whether it's Mario Cristobal, whether it's Manny Diaz, they're good for about 2 head scratchers a year in conference play.
Correct.
Last year it was Louisville and SMU. I'm not sure there's any head scratchers. And I realize you're going to tell me, but Andy, that's what makes it a head scratcher. You can't see it coming. I don't see it coming at all. Like, there's an at Clemson game, which could be dangerous because Clemson's always talented, but that's not you're not going to go into that game following your rousing win against Central Michigan. You're not going to go into that game thinking, oh, we're just going to roll over Clemson. It's Clemson. It's still Memorial Stadium. It's still Death Valley. They're still coming down the hill. So you're going to be up for that game. So you're not losing that one. You're not losing to Stanford week 1 on a Friday night. Now, had they been sent to the Bay Area slightly north and east of Stanford on a Friday night in the middle of the season, like
Clemson
teams
is, yeah,
like Clemson is, then I might have been willing to invest a little. If you got to play JKS on a Friday night in Berkeley, then I'm scared for you.
I mean, look, Miami likely should have lost that game 2 years ago with Mendoza.
Florida State does not scare me.
No.
Pitt doesn't scare me. The Fighting Bill Belichick's don't scare me. Duke, in the Darian Mincer revenge game, maybe. But if the fact that it's the Darian Mincer revenge game is going to get Miami up for that game.
Right. And it's at home.
So really, you're resting on James Franklin and Bill O'Brien here. That's a lot to ask. And one loss is not going to keep you out of the conference championship game.
James Franklin is great in ranked games. I promise you.
There's
and for that reason, I'm out.
I just look. One of the things that I look at is, as Sark Andy alluded to, is right. It's place, it's time, but it's also the quarterbacks on this schedule. Like, are you going to Billy Edwards, Christopher Vizina, Gio Lopez, Walker Eget, Ethan Grunkmeyer, Mason Heinschel, Gio Lopez?
Don't say Mason Heinschel like that. He was a very effective starting quarterback as a freshman.
Don't watch his November if you want to continue along with this path.
Tate Reynolds. Now, if it's a Tate Reynolds, if Tate Reynolds has taken over at Clemson, we might have a different conversation here. But
do you know who Stanford's starting quarterback is this year to open up the season?
I do. Davis Warren.
Davis Warren, still going.
Well, think about this. Andrew Luck played quarterback for Jim Harbaugh. Tavita Pritchard played quarterback for Jim Harbaugh.
Might as well.
Who's played quarterback for Jim Harbaugh that still has eligibility? It's Davis Warren. Come on down.
He's in practice has played quarterback for Jim Harbaugh. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I'm desperate to like scrape together the dollars as like a Hail Mary football term investment here. I just can't find them with these quarterbacks.
I'll be honest with you. I was writing this pitch and I was like, they have to both be out here. I don't. It's not that somebody else can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just that we're recording this on June the 10th, and it is certainly not obvious who that team would be. Right.
No, I do think SMU is the one I would say
SMU.
They would have to lose.
Should be most worried about. But the thing is, they don't play SMU in the regular season. They're not seeing them until the ACC championship game, and SMU's got to make it.
Yep. SMU's got to make. They don't have Louisville either. Louisville's been quality, obviously.
And Louisville beat them last year, yeah.
And you're talking about a Louisville team with a quarterback who has played 0 meaningful snaps.
All right, let's do our
Lincoln Keenholz.
Final pitch here for the Sarks.
Erasure here.
Next up, an entrepreneur undistracted by shiny objects.
All right.
Hey, Sarks. I am here seeking your emotional investment in the Notre Dame Fighting Irish being aggressively overrated.
Oh.
Look, Notre Dame might be very good, but this schedule is not exactly a cage match week in and week out. It's Wisconsin and Lambeau Field. It's a trip to BYU. It's home games against Miami and SMU. And otherwise, a whole bunch of opponents where the Irish should be bigger, better, more dominant, and let's just say it, a lot richer. Sarks, now is not the time in this moment of college football peril to confuse winning a lot of games with being definitely elite. Now is the time to invest in Notre Dame as the sport's most polished strength of schedule mirage. Thank you for your time.
I'll let Sark Andy go for this one first. You're investing in overrated Notre Dame, having a terrific record during the regular season and then being exposed in January is what
horribly
my interpretation is.
Completely a product of their schedule, completely a product of the national punditry.
Right.
We're investing here in what I think real college football fans across this great land of ours, I've talked to many of them, as you know, this is what they see through the lens of the common fan and not through what they see on the.
But
major networks.
you're also pitching us on Notre Dame agreeing to play in the postseason, right? Which would start a new streak.
They'll agree.
Yeah. Well, never say never. We disagree with being the 9 seed.
All right.
Let me break this down for you. Was Notre Dame a product of its schedule when it lost to Marshall and then went on a win streak and made the first 12-team college football playoff? Because it certainly looked like it wasn't when it was rolling to the national championship game through Indiana, which that win looks even different now, even better. Georgia and Penn State. I think we all agree if Notre Dame made the playoff last year, the Irish could have made noise in that playoff. I believe, our friend Parker Fleming, his site, if you matched all those teams up on neutral fields, Notre Dame would have been favored against more than half of the teams that made the playoff. Notre Dame is for real. The roster's for real. They're great on both lines of scrimmage. They have the best cornerback in the game in Leonard Moore. CJ Carr is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country, if not already. You look at his numbers from last year. He was pretty spectacular as a first-year starter. This is a good team. Is it their fault that USC is too scared to play them? They didn't back out of that series. USC did. They do play BYU. That is the best possible replacement they could have found on short notice.
It's a great game, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an awesome
Right.
game.
At altitude.
They do play Miami.
Yep.
They do play SMU. It's not like they won't be challenged at all in the regular season. So,
But they're
I'm not worried about Notre Dame.
They're not in a conference, Andy. Come on. Open your eyes.
Why do I care about that? Am I supposed to care that they're not in the conference? I realize that bothers some people, but it doesn't bother me. I listen. I let your freak flag fly.
I'm going to take a slightly different tact than Sark Andy here. I'm going to say quickly, in January to win games, especially given who they could be playing against, I'm still not in love with their offensive skill talent around CJ Carr. Just when you look at what other teams may have.
You mean losing the 2 first-round running backs?
Losing the 2 first-round running backs, not having obvious, all whatever receivers or a tight end at the moment. I like their lines of scrimmage a good deal.
I'm not worried about that because they're going to block.
They're going to block. Yeah. They're going to win those games. And here's the thing. When I listen to SEC fans, they tell me having that non-gauntlet schedule is how you win national championships, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
they don't have the schedule. They don't have the gauntlet. And so for that reason, I think I'm at least slightly in on Notre Dame being overrated, but not terribly so. I think they'll be fresh.
I'm all the way out.
You're all the way out? I'm going 10 to 12%. 10 to 12%, even though Marcus Freeman has made a national championship game, I want to see them tested.
They're so much deeper than the Brian Kelly Notre Dame teams used to be.
They are. But are they?
They're built to win national championships in this era.
If they need to score 34 points against Ole Miss in a playoff game, do you think they can?
Can Ole Miss score 34 on them?
That's true. I mean, Marcel Reed led the team to 0 touchdowns in the playoff and led them to 40-plus points.
That's true.
Against Notre Dame last season. So
that's true.
You never know. Football's weird.
So I'm very biased on this one, as you guys know.
Ty's worried.
I was surprised you even asked it. That's right.
Well, I have to go against tendency. This is what all the football term did. This is what the best coaches in the game do. I think because there are some questions, particularly about the backfield, and they have good options. They're just not name brand guys like they had the last couple of years. But I think they feel good about some of the names that popped in spring and some of the guys that are going to be joining up.
I would feel great about running behind that offensive line.
Yeah, they're going to be okay there. The question about receiver, I think, is extremely valid. But if nothing more, they also have more options out wide than they ever had before.
Yeah.
This is a deep receiver room, even if it is not the most name brand receiver room. And I think one of the lessons learned throughout the course of the season and now the off season is that there is a lot more trust from the standpoint of Mike Denbrock and Marcus Freeman that they can take whatever gloves they had on CJ Carr fully off and let him run the offense. Let him stretch the field, let him take some of those chances because they just have this level of trust in his ability and his ability to process that I think the offense is going to be a lot more built around CJ this year than it was last year, certainly last year when it was more built around the ground assault. So I'm pretty confident, to your point, that if they got to go out there and score 30 plus points against a good opponent, that it's the capability is there, even if the names right now, the household names aren't yet.
If we're going to use my rubric of quarterback and defense, and even if you want to extend that to quarterback and lines of scrimmage, if they're not the number one team in the nation that checks the quarterback and lines of scrimmage box, they're probably one of the top 3.
Easily.
So I can, in good conscience, bet a good amount of my investment capital on Notre Dame being overrated if that's the starting point.
Fair enough. All right. Sarks, this has been a pleasure as always to get your business acumen as part of the show. I had some other ones here. I won't go through all of these. I had the question of, will Indiana make a third straight playoff? Ooh. I had a question of, will there be a new team from the Big 12 making the college football playoff? So other than TCU, Texas Tech, Arizona State, or you can go back as far as you want to like Cincinnati. Will there be a Big 10? This was Dan's actually. Will there be a Big 10 Heisman finalist quarterback not named Moore, Sayin, Hoover, or Mayava? And then more to the point, will there be an SEC Heisman finalist quarterback not named Arch Manning or Trinidad Chambliss? So we had some other ones here that I don't think we have time to get through today.
Yeah.
But
Gunnar Stockton takes New York.
Yeah.
Hold on. The stock market.
Oh,
right. Not bad.
I missed on that one. It would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Gunnar Stockton rings the bell.
Yeah, of course. Stock exchange. Yeah.
Andy Staples, it is always a pleasure to have you on the show. Remind folks where they can find you and your work.
You can find me at on3.com, at the On3 YouTube channel, and pretty much everywhere you get your podcasts.
You're all over the place, man. Glad to hear the voice is still holding up. You're always on my feed. Everywhere I look.
Lots of hot tea.
Yeah.
Andy is technically glued to his office chair. He just has to keep recording. Or
it's Velcro.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
2 bathroom trips a day. Okay. Thank you, Andy. Now we bring on Barbara Corcoran, right? That's
we'll see if we can get her.
Exactly.
She has also Jason Eck thoughts, weirdly enough. So we have to do it.
To the Verballers out there, thank you as always for downloading, for listening, for supporting. Check us out at verballers.com if you want to support the team. Make sure you hit follow or subscribe on your platform of choice. Don't forget to rate or review if you like what you heard. We will be back next week talking more college football. In the meantime, for that guy over there, Dan Rubenstein, for our guest, our Sark of Honor, our good friend Andy Staples, and for myself, Ty, over here in Eastern Pennsylvania. Enjoy the weekend. You know the drill. Stay solid.
Peace. All right. We are good.